delay?
Mary?
No, it's just based
Did
on.
Bill say he was gonna be late?
He didn't say anything to me.
Here's a couple minutes here.
Okay.
Mr. Martin, how you doing today?
Good, sir, how are you?
All right.
And were you away too?
No, I'm going away.
Oh, I thought, I didn't see you at the last meeting, did I?
No, he wasn't in last.
I was at a conference.
Oh.
Yeah, that was
Where'd you go?
still work.
Getting
Going to
educated.
Florida next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go at the end of, December.
I'm thinking this weekend of
Where
Is it
are
on
you?
the calendar, Mike?
Where?
Napa.
For me?
Yeah, on the calendar.
I mean, my wife,
Oh,
couple of my brothers and sisters.
Since they started the calendar, it's been on the calendar.
It's the first thing that went on the calendar.
George said to me,
That's
"You know,
Tuesday.
Tuesday?" I don't see it on the calendar. I go, "Good close."
See you
It's
till
there.
this return.
Hillside. What about it? Word. Hillside's over there off of the Route 22, off of 78, exit 140. 140, 140. Oh, Hillside
It's
Avenue.
not.
Hillside Avenue is off of Bath Avenue, excuse me, Morris Avenue on South 7th. Before you get to Chelsea, there's a little side street there that goes in a curve, goes into Morris Avenue, comes out of South 7th, that's Hillside.
It's not that long.
Council President.
No, Hillside Avenue, that's where they're doing that, the house for,
I'm not leaving it.
anyway, they're doing a house there for,
Not going?
my mind just went blank. But anyway, yeah, that's the one it is. You know, if you go like, I think that's the church you're coming from, tell me where, okay, if you're going Morriswood Avenue, make it right on Morris Avenue, okay? You're gonna make, okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, we have three. Is Anita not coming?
No, she's at another meeting.
Huh?
She had to go to another meeting.
Oh, okay.
A very important meeting.
Want to start?
Want to start? All right.
You got here just in time.
Good evening. How you doing, Bill?
Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Viera,
Here.
Councilwoman Vogt will be absent this evening. Mrs. Wittes,
Here.
Dr. Selly,
Here.
and Mr. Dangler.
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and posted as required by law.
I need a motion? No, I'm sorry. The first item on the agenda is the ABC ordinance.
Sure. So, just
What is your name, sir?
Sure, I'll introduce myself. My name is Ruben Perez. I'm here from the law firm of Raynon, Coughlin, and Cello. I'm here substituting for Mr. Raynon for today. He will be coming a little bit later.
Okay.
With respect to the ordinance, ordinance is number 17-19. It's an ordinance revising chapter 103 of the alcoholic beverages section. Specifically, it's to provide more clarification and changing the language therein. Open it for discussion.
Yeah, the issue with the previous ordinance is what, it was worded poorly. This ordinance was, drafted to clarify that error.
Nick, would you come up to the, please? Thank you.
Yes, just to give a little background on
Okay.
why this is being done. The previous ordinance had some verbiage that was poorly constructed. This helps correct that verbiage and gives us the ability to locate liquor establishments in the areas where we want them.
Thank you. Anyone have any other questions in regards to that?
Will this allow more, like, bars and things like that?
More licenses?
More licenses?
No.
No, it will not allow more licenses, it'll just regulate where the existing ones may be placed.
Oh, okay.
Nick, you know, remember, my concern was, that if you ended up having more than one liquor license, that had been grandfathered in a residential neighborhood, but that's not going to be the case because they are grandfathered. In other words, where it wouldn't be allowed, it's not gonna be allowed anyway in a residential area, right?
Right,
So-
they will not be permitted to be transferred to locations where eating and drinking establishments are not permitted uses.
In other words, if we have a license that's grandfathered in a residential, that would stay or this would move it?
Yeah, something that's existing, this doesn't affect that. What it affects is, maybe there's a restaurant in a residential zone and will not allow them to transfer a liquor license into a restaurant that's in a residential zone.
So there are my concern was that there are a couple locations in the city where you have a liquor license or a bar or whatever in a residential area, and you may also have a restaurant without a liquor license. So my concern was that we wouldn't necessarily now want that restaurant to also be able to get a liquor license, but we're protected from that, Nick, in the sense that if that was grandfathered in, you can't add a liquor license just because there's a restaurant there. That would remain the same. So you wouldn't be able to add a liquor license to a residential area, correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right.
You know, we do have a wide array of restaurants that are in residentially zoned. And when I say residentially zoned, I mean like the R1 through the R5 zones that aren't mixed use and don't permit commercial activity. So this will prohibit the licenses to be transferred to existing restaurants in those areas.
So the idea is that whatever is in an existing residential area, there will not be the ability for more liquor license to be put in those residential areas.
Correct.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Very good.
If Jay, any questions?
I'm okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Nick, you might as well come back.
Get your exercise.
Review the master plan? No,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Review the regular.
That's an executive.
That's the executive session. Any questions in regards to the agenda for this evening?
I have a little question about the 198-19, resolution to reject proposals of the vacant land. What is that, what's that about?
We solicited an RFP for administration of vacant and abandoned properties. We only received one response in a fee structure that didn't work for the city. So we will reissue that RFP,
So that's what it's explaining for.
yes.
All right, thank you. That was it for me.
Yeah, it was in a fee structure and a level of services that didn't exactly match what we were looking for, so.
Okay.
Mike, I'm just curious on the, capital, on the road improvements. I see Morris Avenue is divided into section 1 and section 2. I guess were they thinking of initially just doing one part instead of the other, as opposed to just keeping them as one unit?
I gotta be honest, I didn't create the list. I don't know, that's an engineer question. We can call, Laura Osborne.
But I mean,
if they have a
it
question.
appears that it doesn't seem to matter. One is picking up where the other left off, right? So that was my
I
assumption.
think it's all of Morris Ave, yeah.
Yeah.
They might have priced it that way to keep it as an alternate when they bid possibly.
I see.
I'm not 100% sure.
that's on the body cams, even though we got the grant, we still have to bond for some of them? Is that the idea?
The rest, yeah, the grant calls for 100% of the officers being issued a body cam, and the grant doesn't cover enough money for all the officers, so this will be for the balance of the officers.
How many more cameras are we getting? I mean, the grant covers what, about 30, 40?
The grants were 52.5, and for everybody would be about how much? A little over 100?
A little over 100, and that's gonna be 90-something body cameras. It
Nice.
usually pays for about half of it. Usually pays about half of it. So we save $50,000 or $60,000 somewhere in that. Somewhere in that area.
So we still end up, actually paying for about 35. Original was like 60 or so, correct? Original ask.
Original ask was for 60,000, which is what we're gonna put in as the match to grant. I don't know, it'll probably $900 a piece.
Yeah, 900 to 1,000.
So we'll get 50 cameras out of the 60 grand approximately, give or take.
And this is for everyone? Even, you know, police officers that are, you know, working inside on duty, and they're not on the street, they'll have a body cam as well?
They'll have one, that'll be available to them. Everyone will have it issued to them. We'll, by our, procedures, will decide whether they're gonna wear it inside or outside, or where they're gonna wear it.
But in order to get the grant, whether they wear it or not, you know, those officers who are stationed inside, the people who are, the officers who are inside, whether they wear it or not, we still have to account for a camera for them.
For them, correct.
Based on the grant.
Yes, because of the grant. Correct.
So the grant's contingent on every
Every-
officer having
Every officer having a
having
camera assigned to them.
regardless of.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Most of them, they'll mostly get used anyway, there's very few people that, you know. But at least they will have them for the days that they do go out on the road, or if they're working something else, and that way they have them. It's also much easier for us if they have their own than to worry about whose it is, getting assigned, unassigned, and getting all the information off of them.
We already know what type of camera, is it the latest cameras that are out there?
Yes, I actually have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday morning with Panasonic to talk about that. And we use Panasonic notebooks in our computers, and also Panasonic in-car cameras. So we're going with the same ones, so we just wanna see how it all works together. They'll all work together, that the in-car camera will hook up with the one that you're wearing, so you can see the whole thing. So that's the information that we're gonna learn about Tuesday at 9 o'clock.
These cameras can be turned on again, off again by the officers, right?
Correct.
So are these cameras, the car cameras, right, can be watched by dispatch? Can
Mhm.
these cameras be watched simultaneously at the same time?
You know, I don't know that answer, I'm not sure if they can. I don't know. That's something I'll have to ask on Tuesday. My thought is no, but I don't know if they have the power to reach back here, you know? The in-car cameras go through the vehicle, and they have the power, and they can go out the antenna and probably reach back here. I'm not sure that the body cameras will be able to.
But you said, maybe I'm wrong, that the body cameras can reach the camera in the car, right? The computers in the cars?
Reach it?
Yeah, like they sync with one another? Or is
Yes.
it- Okay.
They sync, that's why we're using the same company.
Okay, so if they sync with one another, then why can't they, why aren't they able to see? I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't be able to see those,
They may be able to, I don't know that answer without
yeah,
meeting with them on
Yeah.
Tuesday. I'm just figuring if they're out of the car,
yeah.
I don't know what the distance is, and, you know, a lot of times they don't sync in until they get back into the car. when we have the video on the camera now, sometimes it doesn't sync until they drive in here, because we have different points where it'll actually sync
Oh, okay.
over the air, so.
Thank you.
So the original, yeah, maybe I didn't say it, but the original, request on the capital budget was like 100,000 something, 2,000, something like that. So now we're, because of the grant, it'd be about 60,000, 50,000, somewhere.
Somewhere between 50 and 60, I believe.
All right.
Thank you.
They turn these in, chief, when they come off duty, they pick them up and turn them in, or is this something they keep on their body?
They're gonna have to recharge them, so they'll have their charger bank, and usually that's how we get the information off of them, is when they go to the charger bank. So when they come off duty, they'll put them in the bank to charge, whether it's, well, like a bank of them, or if someone has a place to work, their desk, they'll have their own charger roll, they'll sync it, and all the videos will.
How long does it take to recharge? How long does it take to recharge?
Less than 8 hours, for sure.
Okay.
Less than 8 hours.
So I don't know, so it's not like your weapon that you keep with you, right? In other words, the camera stays at City Hall, or
Yeah,
it goes with the?
I wouldn't see any reason for them to have it at home.
Right.
You know, it'll stay here
So
when.
it's not like part of the uniform?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when those guys are, because one, it has to recharge, and two, it has to get all the video off it, so it needs to do that when they're not here, you know, when they're not using it, so. It'll probably just sit in their charger, and we'll figure out, whether we have banks for the guys that are on the road that they can put in. They usually come in 5 or 10 charger banks, and then the guys that work, inside will have their own charger for it.
How long do you keep the videos for normally?
Depends on what happens.
Okay.
It depends on the incident. Some are gone after 30 days. Some have to stay for 6 months, and some have to stay for up to 5 years. You have to decide when you take the video which one it is. We don't like to keep everything forever, because it takes up space on the server, and that gets expensive. So we follow the state, as a guideline and an SOP, and we follow that for retention of the videos.
Thank you.
Do you think we could have a demonstration sometime?
Sure. We have some now. I mean, if
Huh?
Yeah, it's just interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will talk to the rep when he comes down on Tuesday, and, because we have to decide which one we're gonna get. We have some now, but they are a few years older, so we'll decide whether we wanna share the one we have now, or maybe he can bring one in that we're gonna get, and we can set something up, and I'll have him bring it here and, show you guys how it works.
See if you can set it a little later, so, instead of doing it there, 'cause I can't make it during the day.
Yeah, I mean, we can do it at night if you want, in, one of these
Yeah,
meetings, he
yeah.
can do it right on the board, we can do it that way, so you guys can see
Okay,
it.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
One of the meetings, yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
A
Thank you.
couple, maybe about 3 years ago, I was in a NAACP meeting, and I called you from the meeting to ask you about, this, because there was a grant at the time,
Mhm.
to ask about, the body cams. And this town, it's a funny name town, Egerham or something, I don't know, whatever it was. It says South Jersey. They, came in and demonstrated to all of the,
Oh, did they?
yeah, they just the right thing, and showed how to use it. Because, I was in a meeting, and Asbury Park Police said that it was a concern, because, if you happen to have to pull your weapon, it covers up, whatever. And these guys were showing, no, it doesn't, because look, you have it out now. Obviously, there was nothing in the gun, but at least they had it out, and they demonstrated, which made us more, that's
Yeah,
why
it
it's
depends
called-
where you put it,
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
we're
right.
have certain
Put it in
places
the
where
wrong
you can
spot.
wear it, and that
But
kind
it
of
was a
stuff,
good
yeah.
demonstration, that's all the point was just.
Yeah,
You
okay.
see, that's why I called, and fortunately, we were already on top of it.
All right.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, good, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Okay, I need a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to adopt the resolution to go into executive session for the following items: attorney-client privilege, master plan, and personnel matters.